right, how's everybody doing today? It's your boy Crypto Wolf back again, and we're doing another Market Cipher video. I think this one's going to be a little interesting, calling this one the Market Cipher Order of Operations, specifically talking about Market Cipher B. And real quick quote of the day is, every battle is won before it is fought. Sun Tzu. If you haven't read The Art of War, I highly suggest it. Very good, very short, very easy read, but what seems like it would be basically just common sense. You know, some people, you know, they need it spelled out to them. Other times you just got to hear it until it just clicks and you're like, oh man, yeah, all right. And it can apply to all kind of things in life. And just a little bonus for you right here. We got, since we're talking about the order of operations, going into a little a battle plan here for our trading over here with Market Cipher. Had to throw in the little South Park gif, so I know you love it. But we're over here looking at the Ethereum chart. I wanted to just throw this out here real quick because I just happen to have it over here on the 1 hour, and we've been talking about it lately, and here it is again. We do have some bullish divergence over here on the VWAP. And the one thing I am looking quite close at is this still decreasing money flow right here. And so looking at this, you know, you might be thinking, okay, well, we do have this bullish divergence over here on the VWAP, which should be a fairly good, fairly bullish sign. You know, we've already kind of come up this far from our little bottom back here. And RSI is starting to make a little turn to the upside and relatively close. So, okay, so that's good as well. And we also have, you know, big green dot down here, potentially hitting the bottom, getting a little crossover between these two momentum waves right there. So thinking like, all right, you know, maybe we hit the bottom. Maybe we're at the bottom, getting a nice little 18 right here on the DBSI, if you could see that. And not only that, you know, all this stuff kind of filled out with these fib retracement levels quite nicely. You know, came down, had a little bit, you know, support resistance right here at this level. Then we kind of popped up, hung out around this next little 382 level for a little bit, pulling back a little bit now as you go on to some of the lower time frames, at least, you know, lower from an hour, and you can see VWAP potentially going to cross back down. And as you can see, we did not have that VWAP divergence yet on the lower time frames. So, you know, what am I thinking at this point? You know, we did start splitting as we came up as well. So I'm thinking I want to see this this higher low right here, you know, somewhere in this area. And if we do catch that higher low on the lower time frames, when we come back up here to the 1 hour, you know, hopefully, you know, maybe we spend some nice time above the zero with that VWAP and that bullish divergence plays out for a little while. So coming in off of this next, you know, higher low could be a very nice long position entry. So that's what I'm looking for at the moment. But let's get into this little video here real quick because, you know, just like we were just talking about, you know, when you see some bullish divergence on the VWAP, but, you know, money flow is still steadily decreasing further into the red, you know, it really makes you think, okay, which one takes precedent? You know, what's the order of operations here? Which one should I be following first? Like, you know, is this money flow going to, you know, overall, you know, push the trend downward as this is decreasing? Or, you know, is this bullish divergence on the VWAP here, is the VWAP going to push it up? And so that's what I wanted to talk about in this one. And let me first state a little disclaimer here. By no means am I an absolute expert on this particular little subject here. It's just something I've been mentioning on and off throughout recent videos and that I've been trying to pay attention to. And I think I have at least a decent little beginner's grasp of this subject right here. So I figured I'd share it with you guys because, you know, if I'm watching out for it, you guys should absolutely, if you're using Market Cipher, you should be watching out for it as well and starting to figure out, you know, okay, what's going to overrule what? which one is taking precedence, in which order should I be following these guys here. And so, we're gonna lay this out a little bit, and then, as time goes on, we're gonna pay attention, and we're gonna test it, and we're gonna say, okay, this is the little strategy we got going here. Is it working out? Do we need to adjust it a little bit? Is it complete bullshit? So that's the plan. So let's go. So just from my watching and analyzing a little bit here, I'm thinking, the money flow is going to come in at number 1. And I say that because, overall, regardless of what anything else is doing, the money flow still kind of dictates the overall macro trend. And even if you're on smaller time frames, I mean, macro in the sense of, kind of beyond or in larger scope than the rest of these indicators. And you can kind of see that here where, money flow was decreasing. We were trending down. As we rounded out the bottom, money flow started increasing, started trending up, started decreasing again, trending down. Made the little turn, started coming up here. And as money flow steadily increased, we were steadily going up. So I think it's a safe bet to say the money flow is still king, as I've been saying lately. Because, even if, let's say, like right here, a good example. We have, higher, son of a bitch. We have higher highs on the price right here. But we're getting a bearish VWAP divergence. And granted, yeah, the money flow was kind of coming down, even though it would have been hard to tell at the time, but we were overall still kind of trending up. But all we got was, this pullback, and this is a 4-hour, so it would have been a healthy little pullback for sure. But it wasn't a complete trend reversal, in the scope of the 4-hour time frame. And let's see if we could find another one. So like right here, we're getting lower lows. Oh, no, that doesn't stretch out that far. Scratch that. But you get what I'm saying. The money flow is generally dictating the overall trend. Let's come back here to the 1 hour. And so my number 2 at that point, and this was kind of a hard one to make a decision on. I was leaning, either between the RSIs or the VWAP. But I'm going to go with the VWAP, I think, because, it's not so much a size thing. It's not so much a macro thing anymore, as much as it is like a closer correlation to the price action itself. VWAP's coming up, price is coming up, VWAP coming down, price coming down, coming back up. And you can see what I mean. There's a closer correlation going on between the price action and the VWAP itself. And keep in mind on the higher time frames, you're not necessarily going to start going down right at the 0 line cross. And these are Heikinashi. You got to keep that in mind too. We peaked up here and we actually started coming down, within these few candles right there, as the VWAP was coming down. Again, more so on higher time frames than lower time frames. But generally speaking, the VWAP is very, closely correlated to the price action itself. And so leads me into the number 3. The number 3 in our little order of operations here, I went with the RSIs. And the reason I didn't quite go into number 2 for the RSIs, even though it does seem like you could use it for larger macro trends, such as, uptrending here, down, back up. But quite often the RSI can and does go in the opposite direction as the prevailing trend. And let's see if I can find, it's a little tougher up here on the higher time frames, but as you can see, we're still coming up here, going strong at the end of this big bullish trend right here. And, you know, already we're coming down. We did poke back up, but again, coming down, you know, as we're still kind of topping out. So again, and it shows a little bit of divergence like most of them do. I mean, if you were to start talking about, you know, larger trend directions in the VWAP, you get a little bit of the same thing, but it's just the VWAP's a little bit closer to the precise price action, I think. We'll see how this plays out. Maybe, you know, go back and switch these two, but for the moment, that's my hypothesis. I'm sticking to it. We'll put it to the test and we'll see if it holds up. You know, right here we got sideways action, RSI's generally kind of trending downward. So it's definitely close, but I'm going to put the RSI's into number 3. Now, the fact that we have two, you know, distinct RSI's, I'm going to say that this, the stochastic RSI, the thicker one, that one that changes from red to green, I'm going to call that heavier than the purple one here, just the regular RSI. Because, you know, now that we are talking about, you know, dictating the overall trend a little bit, you know, the stochastic is doing, I don't want to say better, but you know, a closer job of sticking with a general trend direction, whereas the purple one is kind of having larger swings. You know, you can see we didn't have any huge swings. We're mostly sideways right here, but that regular RSI was taking that big dip down, being a little different from the trend action up here. But don't forget, I mean, that's super helpful. Like having the both of these here, very, very helpful, because it does help you gauge the strength of the trend based on that split between the two. So, you know, very, very important. And then number 4 coming in at the caboose is the only guy left here, the momentum waves. And I kind of say that because, you know, look at this. We have this big uptrend right here. And you look at the momentum waves, and you do have a little bit of an overall trend upward. But if it wasn't for this tall guy right here, you know, it largely would have seemed kind of sideways. And we still had, whoa, you know, some kind of erratic shape to you know, the overall looking trend on the momentum waves. And a lot of times, you know, you get real nice ones where, you know, you get these clearly defined directions. That's nice, as like a confirmation to say like, okay, well, I feel like, you know, maybe we're reaching a top and it's starting to come down. You get that divergence, good to go. But you can, I mean, you can see where, you know, right here, we're not having very big, let me zoom this in for you. You know, we're not having very big swings up here at all, but we are coming all the way down to the 60, down to the 50, compared to, let's see, that's a pretty big one there, but, you know, compared to back here, we're not having gigantic swings. It's nice little pumps, but, you know, we're still coming up here into the that upper range above the 60. Like right here, not a terribly big little hill right there, but actually putting in a new high over here on the momentum waves and coming up pretty far for just a little uptrend right there. So, and keep in mind, it's not supposed to directly reflect the price action, because that, I mean, that'd be kind of useless at that point, because you already have the price action right here. What good does it for this to like 100% mirror that? At that point, you just have two price actions, except this one's in a wave and that one's in candles. So what you are trying to get with these, again, is like the trend and direction, like the strength and direction of the price action. And again, you know, looking for divergences there as well. But once again, there are actually two distinct parts of the momentum waves. You have our light blue, the leading wave, and you have the dark blue, which is the lagging wave. So leading and then lagging. And I'm going to go and say that the leading probably takes precedent over the lagging wave, and that's largely because it's a little bit more precise in reflecting the price action. You know, you get these corners, you get the flats in there, whereas the lagging one tends to smooth everything out a little bit. So what do you guys think? You know, does that make sense to you? Because have you guys been running into this problem yourself, where you're seeing some maybe conflicting signs and you're wondering which one to trust? I know I have, so I imagine you probably have too. And so that's kind of where I've been at with that one. You know, over here on Bitcoin, looks like we may have a little bullish divergence between the momentum waves as well. So we got that going here on a larger divergence, you know, between these two guys. And then we have the smaller VWAP divergence right there, which isn't terribly small. I mean, it's still pretty decent size. So I'd say things do look like we should get, you know, something back to the upside off of this dip right here. But it's largely going to depend on how this money flow works out. You know, if this thing just continues deep into the red, you know, this divergence might play out into like a little and that's it. And that is why money flow takes the #1 spot right there. So what do you guys think? You agree? Disagree? You know, what's your thoughts on it? You think it should be a different order? You think maybe the RSI is, you know, a little more prescient than the VWAP? I'll be curious to hear your guys' opinion. Let me know what you think. You know, by all means, you know, you might say something that is like, oh, shit, all right, like click something in my head, be like, damn, you're right. No, let's readjust. Like, always got to be open to good information. But just checking out how we're doing at the moment, we are getting that little bit of a pullback here, and it's got a little bit more shape to it. You know, unlike right here where we just kind of cooled off for a minute, but then we just, even though we continued up, it was pretty weak. And then now we're getting a little sharper curvature to the downside here. So it looks like we might put in a little downside action on the 8-minute here. You know, money flow started coming up, kind of going sideways. A little bit of time down below for the VWAP. Again, you know, like I was saying, just kind of weak on the momentum to the upside. Even though, you know, since here the RSI hasn't really showed it. But over here, I mean, we had all kind of weakness on that RSI. I remember watching that a little bit when it was going on, and I'm like, this whole sideways action right here, I just wasn't touching it. I think I tried something. Where was it? So that's 8 o'clock. I forget. I got in a little bit of a short somewhere toward like the end of it, and I think it was this green candle that kind of stopped me out, because I was like, oh, okay, VWAP coming up. I did not expect, you know, we had that bullish divergence going on. So I basically just tried to like skim a little bit off the bottom of the dip, just because that was when I started watching. I'm like, oh, you know, the RSIs were pointed down, they were tight together. You know, money flow seemed like it might be coming down. I was like, oh, I'm going to take a shot. You know, maybe the VWAP will bounce off or something, but I didn't necessarily think it would. So I kept the, you know, the stop fairly close. I wish I could limit order out more than I do during the day, but, you know, being at work, I can't just like be there like on point, closing that shit right at the second that I want it to. So yeah, you get hit with the fees a little bit more just because you can't really pay attention. What do we got here? Pushing back a little bit, pushing back. Keeping it honest. Definitely been hovering around this support resistance level. I mean, look at that. Found support here around the top. Resistance down here around the bottom. Nailed that one. And that is still, you know, the same rectangle that I think I drew it live on one of the videos like forever ago. I mean, shoot. Oh man, yeah, I think we drew it sometime back here. It's been there for a while. And it is still playing out fairly well. You know, we had the spider line right here, so even when we dipped through it, got caught by the spider line, stayed above. Kind of got some help down here at the bottom of it. Again, some support, broke through. Yeah, we went a little bit past the spider line, but still, not, you know, not for long. Not long at all. And then you can see this guy up here, you know, resistance right at that level. So that you definitely want to remember, you know, do spend the time to put in your support and resistance levels, because, you know, at least then you're not just, you know, you're not groping blindly, wondering, you know, when you're going to top out. Because even when you do start seeing divergences and things like that, you know, you could see it, but it's not going to give you a precise, you know, location on the price. You'll know that, okay, it's coming up, or we're pretty much there. You know, but just like here, yeah, you're never really going to know just how far those wicks are going to dip. So it's nice to have the support and resistance there to at least give yourself an idea. Like if you come in and you hit a level and you bounce a little bit, you think, okay, you know, all right, this might be a bottom. Let's pay closer attention. Or you run right through it and hopefully you're in a short. But all right, I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to try not to make this one super long. But let me know what you guys thought. And also, if, you know, by all means, I'm thinking about doing the Discord server. But for the meantime, you know, give a shout out in the comments. If there's something that you're seeing that is working particularly well, by all means, share it. If, you know, if you have been doing this for a little while, or, you know, you have an interesting story, contact me, whether it's in the comments or the email address on the About page on the YouTube channel. And let me know. I'd love to try to start doing some interviews with just regular people in the community, whether it be, you know, people big in crypto, or just even if you've, you know, just been trading for a while and you haven't really gotten into crypto. It doesn't matter. All the you know, the lessons, the knowledge absolutely carries over. So let me know if it's something you'd be interested in doing. I think it would be kind of fun. Not only that, you know, you get to hear people's stories. I love stories. Trying to come up with some more trading stories here for the little fireside chat story time videos. I rather enjoy them. But all right. Remember, stay free, stay happy. Remember to be a badass. Don't forget that. Stay motivated. Keep watching them motivational videos, even if it's just for a little bit, even if it's only in the morning, even if you only play it while you're in bed and you just hear it in your sleep. Who knows? Maybe it'll catch. But, you know, keep it going, keep it moving. Don't get stagnant. And stay frosty.